As soon as Larry Fink blessed this asset as like, okay, this is here to stay, you get a call back from all these other insurance companies. The sovereign wealth fund of Luxembourg purchased 1% of their like holdings into IBIT.
The Maduro regime may have acquired 600,000 Bitcoin. The theory is that they were doing two things: swapping gold for Bitcoin with other countries, they're gold rich. The other, selling oil for Tether.
The number one use case is like international trade with Bitcoin.
Chris, I've been enjoying your game, sir, online. I had to reach out and say, I need to get you on the podcast to talk about Bitcoin. How are you?
Doing well. I'm very flattered. Thank you.
You're the tallest troll on Bitcoin Twitter. How's it feel?
That is actually something I've never heard. Like I've heard like tallest shit poster, but tallest troll, like that makes a lot of sense. I take it.
Yeah, I was thinking, guess what? We're 3 days past the 17th anniversary of the Genesis block. And I think you've been in Bitcoin for quite a while. We had the pleasure of meeting in person in Riga, Latvia at the Baltic Honey Badger Conference in 2024. Haven't caught up since. And like I said, I've been observing your game on X. And I think 2025 particularly was a crab year in Bitcoin price. We sort of ranged, and people get very crabby when they range. We had narratives popping up, whether it was the op return limits getting lifted, Bit 444, Bitcoin knots, and we tied the year up with quantum FUD. What are your thoughts on just the state of discourse around Bitcoin protocol development specifically?
So protocol development, I think, is doing like is just chugging along just fine. Besides like this critical bug that they just found in Bitcoin version 30 that deletes legacy wallets. But other than that, like, yeah, I mean, I tried to make light of the filter situation the entire last year, I think, and very happy that we moved on now to like the quantum FUD. Like, I think February 1st is like the BIP44 signaling day or something. I have not seen a single node signal that, or like a single miner. Yeah. That's not going to happen. But
why do you think these narratives manifest within Bitcoin? Quantum specifically for me was like, come on, guys, we've been talking about this for years. Now all of a sudden,
yes, some people suffer from like main character syndrome, and then it's a good angle to remind people, hey, I'm still around. I mean, the irony, like, I have nothing against Nick Carter, even though he blocked me. But like he like came up with these very nice dice, the FUD Bitcoin dice, where like quantum was one side, and now he's like investing with his VC fund. Or he led an invest in like a company that makes blockchains quantum secure. And like that company, like I stalked it on LinkedIn, now proudly says we're making Solana quantum secure. Which, you know, sure, scam some VCs, I'm fine with that. But like preaching, or like he ended with like, everybody's going to dump on Bitcoin now because I said so and I wrote this blog post. And I think that's too much. I mean, it's worthwhile having these conversations, and I like to see that like our smartest cryptographers are working on something, and that we're like not unprepared and we actually have contingency plans. But yeah, I mean, it's just boredom, I think, because not that much happens and everything has been going too well. Price has been quite high, you know, need a new narrative.
Yeah. And now as the price is drifting higher to start the year, people, I haven't heard any quantum FUD since around Christmas time. So
yeah, I mean, it's going to happen soon that they're factoring like larger numbers. Like, I mean, there was this paper, I think Reardon, Brand Black, like he went through it, and like who was the physicist from Fidelity, Bob, what's his name? Forget his name.
McElrath.
Yes, McElrath. There was a paper claiming, oh, we have broken a 6-bit ECC key, like an elliptic curve key. And then he went through this paper and like he saw, okay, you guys guessed 100 times. And a 6-bit key to the power of 6 is like 64, like there's 64 possibilities and you guessed 100 times. So I'm not that flustered that like any sort of key is being broken in the near term future, let alone like 128 bits. But yeah.
What again, like what do you think of just like the broad state of Bitcoin itself, not the protocol? Well, the protocol and the industry. You've been working, as we were discussing before this, on SatsKeeper. You're working on a Bitcoin insurance company.
Yeah. I mean, I have like a few companies that deal with self-custody, with inheritance and insurance of Bitcoin. Mainly, I'm focusing my energy on the store value aspect of Bitcoin. Like, I wish more people would use it as a medium of exchange, but that simply is not the reality. I use my Bitbox, and they have like a Bitrefill integration, and from time to time I use Bitrefill to purchase goods and stuff. But I know that I'm in the absolute minority, and I would have thought like 10 years ago, like in 10 years from now, like we would see a lot more adoption that way. And again, I'm Euro poor. I was not blessed with like 4 million Square terminals where you can now pay with Bitcoin everywhere. I think this is like the most enormous news that has happened last year. But yeah, I think so. More companies are coming in, more like retail investors. The interest is not really there, or isn't back like it was in 2021. But we have a lot of interest from institutional holders to have Bitcoin on the balance and have it properly in self-custody. So that's what I observe.
You mentioned that you're Euro poor. What is the state of the Bitcoin industry and the posturing towards Bitcoin as an asset from European officials, and what are the boots on the ground reports of individuals?
So I reside here in the small Grand Duchy of Luxembourg. I'm sure you can point it on a map as an American high school educated person. And our finance minister, like he just spoke in Bitcoin at Bitcoin Amsterdam. The sovereign wealth fund of Luxembourg purchased 1% of their like holdings into like IBIT, which is like a ginormous step, I would say. Like Luxembourg is like a small country, 600,000 inhabitants, but like ton and ton of people from Belgium and France and Germany come here to work. And there is this thing where if you work for 10 years, even if it's minimum wage, you are entitled to like a fat pension once you reach retirement age. And that was paid out from this wealth fund that this, it's not a kingdom, like we have a Grand Duke. And that was set to expire like in 2045 or something, like because markets, whatever, and they're spending too much money, as all governments do. So I think it's like the right choice to pivot a little bit into Bitcoin exposure. So I'm bullish on that. I'm natively German. I'm not that bullish on that country. We have a really strong Bitcoin community, and I would say of all the European countries, we have the most toxic Bitcoin only maximal crowd. Like if I go to a French Bitcoin meetup, it will be a Bitcoin meetup, but people will, shield you IOTA and Ethereum and Solana and all those good things.
IOTA is still around.
Yeah, IOTA is German, by the way. and it is quantum secure, because I know that I invested like in 2015, 2016. When did it come out? Like I bought that whole bullshit. David Sonsiber was his name. Like, oh, it's not binary, it's ternary. Like you have -1, +1, and 0. And like I bought this whole quantum bullshit like 10 years ago. And my IOTA bags during my shitcoin period. Those would have been some cool Bitcoin, but yeah, it's still around. Like just yesterday, I saw like a paid ad for IOTA, which is like insane to me. But they were funded in Bitcoin, I guess.
I remember the IOTA day, my shitcoiner day, around that time too. It seems like we've been in Bitcoin around the same amount of time. What drew you to it originally?
So I had a friend in university who was really into this. Like he was really paranoid. And he gave me Bitcoin, like for free, like a ton of Bitcoin. And I was thinking, hey, I don't need this. I have PayPal. I have all the means to pay for stuff and goods and services. And once it reached like not euro parity, like was at 50 cents or so, like I sold my bag for like and a graphics card, and then neglected it for like 2 years, and then it came back, and I was, fuck, should I have kept this? But I was not a cypherpunk. I was an engineer. I was at university with like technical-minded people, and there was a lot of conversation about like Bitcoin, but I didn't grok it until, let's say, 2017, when I realized, hey, hang on, all my stock gains, like I came in, and I'm gladly admit this, like I came in for number go up. Like I always say, like there's two kinds of Bitcoiners: people that come for number go up and fucking liars. And I admit that like people come into it and then they change, and then they stay for the sovereignty, and they stay for the freedom money, and like the fuck you money, and those great aspects. But and maybe today, with all the education that we have, like a lot more people come into it from that side without this number go up. But like back then, I would wager everybody went into Bitcoin because, wow, this is an asset that goes up. And that's why my genesis.
Number go up is the best technology that humans have ever come into contact with. It is as somebody, because we were discussing this earlier. Like I use Bitcoin as a medium of exchange. I pay Logan. He's on here now. He gets paid in Bitcoin every 2 weeks. Other members of our staff get paid in Bitcoin. I buy my VPN service with Bitcoin. And the payments aspect is very useful, incredibly important. But I think people try to over-index on that, even though I use it every day, literally. As a payments means, people over-index on that and try to fade number go up, because it's like, we just sound greedy here. But I think it's, if you get down to Bitcoin's sort of path towards success, you need number to go up massively over time.
Yeah, I mean, it's inevitably like people will have more eyeballs on it, and more people will accept Bitcoin and want to be paid in Bitcoin. If it's like crab walking for like 5 years, I'd be fine, but I would assume that adoption would like not grow as steadily. I use Bitcoin daily again in my company. Like I pay people in Canada and in Australia, and I'd rather put a bullet in my brain to do like a wire transfer and wait like 3 or 5 days and pay like $50 in fees, like from a German bank to a Luxembourg bank to like a Singaporean, and like it takes ages. And with Bitcoin, like just like, and it doesn't get old. Like every time I get like a Separite invoice, and I just pay it in like a couple seconds, and then the guy texts me, "Man, are you ever like asleep or what?" No, it's like sending like this bearer asset, like this digital cash at the end of the globe in like a second, and like there's nothing I can do to take it or claw it back. And that guy is paid, and no intermediary has been paid. Maybe like, I don't know, Lightning or like an on-chain fee of like a couple cents right now. That's amazing. But I get that I'm like an enthusiast. Like I run my own nodes. I have like enough liquidity management to like pay any invoice. Like I pay several million sats easily, when other people struggle with that. Like the technology is not, or the UX is not there yet. Like I'm really bullish on Arcade and all these things, and I'm happy that people, like smarter people, work on that. But yeah, I want to see more people use it.
Are we a dying breed? People that run our own nodes and self-custody and...
I think like if the last year taught us anything, is that like running a node makes you a Bitcoiner. So there's a lot of LARPing abound around that. But every customer that I get, they're really like privacy conscious these days. Like it used to be like only like the tinfoil wearing weirdos that were like into this. Like us, like we are like, oh, I'm using a VPN, like that is like weird. Nowadays it's absolutely normal. And now when I onboard people, like I'm a big fan of Liana Wallet, I always explain the privacy implications of connecting your wallet descriptor to an external node, because then of course you leak your holdings. Like there's no loss of your keys, but you lose some privacy. And especially with like a wallet like Liana, you can like, it's a single click and have a pruned node installed fully. Like there's no porting magic, like everything happens in the background, and you have like 35 gigabytes of blockchain data downloaded over the next 2-3 days or so. And I show this to people and they're excited. Wow, now I have my own like full node. Like I can onboard people now 100% the right way. They get like a hardware signer, they get like a multi-sig, they get a node. And I think that interest has grown. So no, we're not a dying breed. Not
Right.
on my watch.
That's good to know. What what do you think about obviously Jameson Lopp has been following the wrench attacks on Bitcoiners, and I think that is and as somebody who's really focused on self-custody, multi-sig self-custody specifically, what do you think about the conversation around self-custody and the fears that are beginning to increase because of these wrench attacks, which, if you look at it, when you take 8 billion people into account, and all right, maybe we'll shrink the total addressable market to the amount of people that hold Bitcoin or wider crypto to maybe hundreds of millions. I think there was 35 $5 wrench attacks last year. How do you?
I think it was even more. Like, I think Jameson Lopp actually, like, he used to manage this GitHub all by himself, and now he has like somebody who puts all those data entries in there, because it was like one a week, like 52 or something at least. Yeah, I mean, that drove me to launch Bitsurance. Like, I know how to perfectly protect my Bitcoin against any form of cyber threats. Like, that is solved. Like, we have hardware signers, we have geographically distributed multisigs. I would say it is because the magic of Bitcoin script, as opposed to any other shitcoin, like, you have all the primitives, all the security built in natively on Bitcoin to be protected against hacking. Like, you can be socially engineered, but like most of these hackings, again, like they are like down to user error. Like, in the end, like the person being hacked signed the transaction because he was duped. Like, that is solved. Like, you can, like, I would wager actually, like, there has not been a hardware signing device that has been hacked. Like, we all wear these tinfoil hats, like, I don't know, cold card with like a ton of secure elements, etc. Like, everything like that is solved. But like, for the life of me, could not figure out what I would do in the event somebody kicks in my door. Like, if somebody comes in and threatens me, my family, or like anybody I love, I can, of course, start drawing like a chart and tell them, hey, I have a 5 of 6, whatever, multi-sig. I have like this time decaying thing. Like, you can't physically, like, you have to like abduct me to different places for me to sign the transaction. Wouldn't it be great if I could give them like an old ledger or something with some Bitcoin, even like a larger sum, and they would be happy and left me alone? Maybe. Like, why can't I insure something like this? We were looking around like in 2022, 2021, when we launched the idea. Like, the company was founded in 2022. And like, nobody would want to touch Bitcoin as a insurable medium, whereas you can insure your gold bars against like a robbery. You can insure your fine art against robbery. Like, that's no problem. But Bitcoin back then was like uninsurable, and that's why we like launched Bitsurance with the hope to like give you a bargaining chip in the event of a $5 wrench attack. And since then, like, Anchorwatch has also come along, and I think that is the last missing mosaic, like the puzzle piece in like your perfect security setup, if you have like cyber protection plus $5 wrench protection.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think changed the minds of Lloyd's of London and other insurers out there that are getting them comfortable too?
I mean, Becca is very persistent, I think. She changed your mind there. So, like, when we launched, we talked to virtually every single insurance company in Europe, and they laughed in our face and like closed the door. And some people re-invited us and kept like stringing us along. And sooner or later, you realize, oh, there's like 2 people, 3 people, 5 people in these calls. Suddenly you realize, oh, you're being abused for like educating their staff on Bitcoin, but they're never going to sign or underwrite your product. And that abruptly changed in 2024. When was it? Like the Bitcoin ETF launched. I think as soon as like Larry Fink blessed this asset as like, okay, this is here to stay, you get a callback from Allianz, you get a callback from all these other insurance companies, because they realize, okay, this is not just some crazy asset. There is some money to be made. Insurance companies, they need to like invest in products that are of interest to be insured. And yeah, that was a blessing in disguise. Like, we launched in 2022. We had a white label insurer, which was like kind of unknown. And yeah, they went under, sadly, not because of us, because of they had like a financing round with like 50 million euros. And then like by the end of 2024, they had to file Chapter 11. No customers of ours was like hurt by that. We could migrate. And now we have Liberty Mutual, like one of the largest specie insurers in the world, as an underwriter. And they are not messing around. Like, it's good to have these financialization developments. Like, I'm not a big fan of BlackRock, but it helped bring the conversation forward.
So, freaks, this rip was brought to you by our good friends at Bitkey. Bitkey is the hardware wallet that makes Bitcoin easy to use, hard to lose. The 2 or 3 multi-sig, you download the mobile app, you pair it with this hardware device here. You have a key here, one on your mobile app, Block holds one in the cloud. Comes with incredible features, the newest of which is chain code delegation, where you can set up your wallet and you can send and receive Bitcoin from that wallet as long as you're doing it with your hardware wallet and your mobile wallet. And Block is none the wiser. You get privacy with chain code delegation in privacy mode. You can auto stack using Cash App, Strike, Coinbase, other apps directly to your Bitkey wallet. Easy to set up if you have friends and family that still have their Bitcoin on the exchange but need to get it off. Send them to Bitkey. To pick up a Bitkey, go to bitkey.world. Use the code TFTC20 for 20% off your Bitkey, and you can buy one right here. We have one in our YouTube store. You don't have to go anywhere. Just click that link. Use the code TFTC20, 20% off. Pick up a Bitkey.
What's up, freaks? When you take Bitcoin seriously, you start with custody. You want to control your keys, avoid single points of failure, and make sure your savings cannot disappear because you or someone else screwed up. That is what Unchained has been focused on since 2016. Unchained is the leader in collaborative multi-sig custody and Bitcoin financial services that keep you in control. They secure over $12 billion in Bitcoin for more than 12,000 clients. That means about 1 out of every 200 Bitcoin sits inside an Unchained vault. Their model is simple. You hold 2 keys, they hold 1 key. And it always takes 2 keys to move Bitcoin, meaning their single key can't access your Bitcoin on its own. Just resilient, shared custody that gives you institutional-grade security while keeping you sovereign. Unchained also lets you trade straight from your vault, access Bitcoin-backed commercial loans, open a Bitcoin IRA where you hold your own keys, and set up personal, business, trust, or retirement vaults. They even offer inheritance solutions built for long-term hodlers. Or opt for the highest level private client service with Unchained Signature and get a dedicated account manager, discounted trading fees, exclusive access to events and features, and much, much more. If you want a partner that helps you secure and grow your Bitcoin without giving up control, go to unchained.com and use the code TFTC10 at checkout to get 10% off your new Bitcoin multisig vault. That's TFTC10 at unchained.com.
It really does. It's weird how the social aspect of it, social signaling from those we perceive to be successful comes into play here. And it is weird. Yeah. Like, I think that's another thing I've been grappling with, but just sitting back and observing over the last few years since the ETFs launched. And here in the States, as we've had these treasury companies launch, and Michael Saylor really skyrocket himself to the top of Bitcoin fame, if you will, for lack of a better term, is this sort of confrontation with the cypherpunk roots that Bitcoin was founded in and grew up with, and the suits coming and saying, all right, we like this asset too, and people reacting to it. I've always been in MBK's camp, where Bitcoin is successful, everybody's going to want to adopt it, and you just have to accept
it's a great thing. Like, what do you expect? Like, everybody wants a piece of the pie if like we build something this good. Like, of course nation states will come, of course like the financial players will come. Like, Bitcoin is for anybody who wants it, and it strengthens the network. Like, the more greedy somebody is, the better it is for everybody else. But there's entirely new dynamics now. Like, I don't know, with Venezuela, I don't know if that is fake news or something. It's really weird that, like, okay, there's a state with 600,000 Bitcoin, and Donald has just abducted.
We were talking before we hit record about how Odell likes to troll in the chat. He's actually trolling me in the chat right now because I did a short video on the Venezuelan story, and then our team here at TFTC clickbaited it. And then the tweet says, "What if I told you a DEA informant might control access to 600,000 Bitcoin?" That's a wild theory, but I don't know. Do they have 600,000 Bitcoin? Maybe.
I mean, it's just like some assumption, and I'm pretty sure that Maduro didn't. I mean, he had like 5 different outfit changes. Maybe he had like a lot of hardware signers stuck in his Nike.
What is the European perspective on what the U.S. just did over the last 5 days?
So, like, demonstrably, like, it's not constitutional what he did. Pretending like otherwise is like a little bit like muddying the waters there. But like these constitutional rules, like they work in like stable systems. Like it's like currently the world is not that, and I think the general reaction in Europe would be like Orange Man bad, and like he can't do that. But like if you talk to anybody who has actually lived under Venezuelan communism, like they understand viscerally, like they're very relieved, like they're very happy that he has been removed. And it's like one of the cleanest military operations to have ever occurred. Like so clean that some people might say, okay, this was like he cut a deal and voluntarily like came to the drop-off spot. But like my take is again, like this was necessary. I'm happy he's gone, and yeah, even though like I believe more so than Trump, I believe in soft power, and he does not believe in that like at all. Like he like soft power only works on people that listen to reason, and there are some international players right now who would not listen to reason. And yeah, occasionally reminding everyone where the larger stick resides, that recalibrates like some incentives much faster than like some UN statements or like some European finger wagging. So yeah, I'm on board with this move, but I would not want to be on the receiving end. Like,
I think there was definitely a prearranged deal. Like if you look at how happy Maduro is when he's like sitting with the DEA agents, it's like you knew something was happening. But like going back to, I mean, again, who knows whether or not they have 600,000 Bitcoin? But I mean, people have been speculating, and these stories have been out there. It's been actually funny to watch the Venezuela Bitcoin story hit mainstream because I'm sure, as you know, if you've been in the industry for a decade, you know that Venezuelans, I think on a per capita basis, were some of the largest adopters of Bitcoin simply because they needed to, because they had hyperinflation and a dictatorship that they were trying to evade. And Bitcoin mining was big in Venezuela. I think they were top 3 country at one point about 10 years ago. And then Maduro came in and ruined that by seizing all the mining operations. Obviously, the diaspora that has resulted from the socialist dictatorship over the last 25 years. You have people sending money back to Venezuela using Bitcoin and stable coins. And so Bitcoin's been a big theme in Venezuela for well over a decade now at this point. But I think the theories about how the Maduro regime may have acquired 600,000 Bitcoin again, whether or not they did is yet to be determined. But the theory is that they were doing 2 things, one of which was swapping gold for Bitcoin with other countries. They're gold rich country, and they wanted to diversify those gold holdings into Bitcoin because it allows them to do things that you can't do with gold, mainly send large amounts of money over the internet. And then the other was they were selling oil, routing around sanctions, selling oil for Tether, and then converting that Tether to Bitcoin because they didn't want Tether to blacklist them. And if you think about them doing that, many, like you said, I did not like the Maduro regime. I'm happy that he's out of power, but if let's run with the assumption that they did acquire 600,000 Bitcoin and did it in that way, it's pretty cool because it highlights Bitcoin's value prop, which is this neutral reserve asset outside the purview of the Five Eyes, the G8, UN, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I always said, like, to me as a businessman, like the number one use case is like international trade with Bitcoin because it saves so much time. And you can find enough crazy people on every continent that accept Bitcoin, and it makes things like much quicker. Like I don't know, I have it not around me. Like I have this in Germany, we're not trusted, or like in Europe in general, we're not trusted with a shopping cart. We have to put like a coin like in there to release it. And I thought to get rid of the last fiat, I will create like a Bitcoin commemorative thing that you put in, but you can remove it immediately. Like you can crack essentially like shopping carts. and I wanted to have this made out of like brass. And I was looking like where to manufacture this, and like in China with Alibaba, I found like a brass molding company, and they had like commemorative coins with like Ethereum and Monero, etc., already in their like product lineup. And I asked them like, hey, you manufacture this? Do you also accept Bitcoin? And they said, yeah, sure, we do. And instead of like sending a wire transfer like to Alibaba, like it goes again like Luxembourg, Singapore, China, it takes like at least 3 days, and it costs me 50 euros. I like just sent Bitcoin with like 22 minutes, like on chain. They confirmed like a balance payment was not out yet, but like the initial payment, and like in less time than it took for them to like would have received the money via wire transfer, they already like CNC milled the tool. They showed me pictures of like, here, this is the tool. Like, wow, this was fucking fast. And of course, they could at any point could have like rugged me because there's no chargeback, but they wanted to have the other 50% of the money, and then they like delivered 2,000 of these like stamped brass coins to me, and I was like, wow, this is like international trade. Like this was like 5 years ago. Like, why would I ever like use a wire transfer? Or like people tell me, oh, I use TransferWise. Like, yeah, even there, like you pay a ton of fees, and then like the currency conversion, and there's slippage, and it takes time. And yeah, Bitcoin just works globally.
But now we have stablecoins. Stablecoins are here. Why do we need Bitcoin at all?
Yeah, that's when people say like Michael Saylor has done the most for Bitcoin adoption, I always like challenge that idea. Like he has done like more than you and I probably, definitely.
Ouch.
But I mean, he has again also a very big stick. But Paolo Arduino, to me, like he is the one guy in the space who discovered and understands product market fit. Like I don't care about Tether. Like I have no use for it myself, but I 100% understand why like everybody in Argentina like prefers the brand of dollar attached to something than like, oh, this volatile asset of Bitcoin. Like he has probably driven crypto adoption and with that also Bitcoin adoption more than any other person, I would say, globally.
I would co-sign that. And it's funny listening to him tell the origin story of Tether and the stablecoin specifically, because he's like, we had some customers asking for it, and we thought it would be like $100 million market cap coin, so we did it. And lo and behold, now we're one of the largest buyer of U.S. Treasuries in the world. Competing.
Can you imagine? Like he wrote that entirely without Claude. Like he didn't vibe code it. Imagine that. Like he had to create this like before LLMs.
It is, and it's been funny watching. Over the years, the Tether FUD obviously had Bitfinex, who emerged after the 2016 Bitfinex hack.
Again, I fell for the Quantum. I fell for the Bitfinex. I fell. Oh,
you fell for Bitfinex?
Of course.
Ah.
I fully thought, oh yeah, like why is there no Big Four audit? Why not? And then like you see, okay, they had like liquidation events where they paid out like 20%. Without like flinching an eye. Like no bank would have survived that. Like they are fully funded. Like nowadays I believe that. But like back then, I mean, again, I'm a gullible person, I guess. Like, I believe that for some time.
Well, what was it? I think around the FTX. Yeah, I think the summer before the FTX blow up in summer 22. I think they had like a 3-day redemption of like 20 billion Tether and handled it.
Yeah.
Handled it seamlessly.
Sure. They are very, very liquid. I think like pound for pound, like with 200 employees or so, like they are the most profitable company on this face of the planet. I mean, who's beating Tether as a company, like in profitability?
I don't think there's some vibe coder out there who's got a fire under his ass right now that's saying, I'm going to be a company of one that is more profitable. I think it's going to be very hard to be more profitable than Tether. Like they're buying 8,888.888888 Bitcoin per quarter. It's insane.
like I mean, I used to work in China, and there they are really like big into the number 8 because it like brings luck, and you had to pay like more if your phone number that you were assigned to had more 8s. Like, is there an association with that? Like, what is the reason why? I know the port is like 88883, like, but.
I'm assuming there's some they're paying an homage
Looks
to
like a bee.
the Chinese tradition of admiring the number 8. That's just my assumption, but
Yeah, some superstition. Like I would also buy 8,800 Bitcoin if I could, but different size pockets.
I mean, you mentioned earlier you're excited about Arcade, and that's something, whether it's Arcade or just Ark, generally is. I mean, you have competing Ark protocols, but Ark as a sort of high level protocol, bringing new extensibility to Bitcoin via second layer and being interoperable, Lightning, and other second layer protocols. That's something that I've been really excited about, and I think it's happening relatively under the radar behind the scenes. Not many people are paying attention, but I think the foundations for the sci-fi banking stack of the future are being built right in front of our eyes. Like if you combine Lightning, eCashments, Ark, Liquid's having its day. It's been around for a decade now. People are finally starting to use it. And then what else is there? You have Spark as well. It feels like we're getting to the point where you can really begin to build out the sovereign banking stack on top of the protocol.
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin is like, we have the scarcity with the limitedness through that, and we can verify it. And then, yeah, I've been using Arcade OS, like the Ark implementation from, not Second BTC, what's their name? I think they're called Ark Labs. Yeah.
Ark Labs, yeah.
And it's a wonderful like UX, like with Lightning, always say, I have this Bitcoin, why can't I receive? Oh, you need inbound liquidity. Like this conversation alone, like you would not pick up a normie onto anything non-custodial. Like they were fine with Wallet of Satoshi. Speaking of Europe, Wallet of Satoshi closed their custodial wallet in Europe like 1 week ago or so. Like the European Union asked for some data on the users, and they said, yeah, fuck it. We only, like, you get to withdraw your funds and you can move on to the semi-self-custodial Wallet of Satoshi version.
And they're using Spark, right? Because they shut down in the US years ago, but they just came back with their non-custodial Spark implementation.
So I think it's like some form of like super not private multi-sig thing. I have not looked all too much into it. Like I onboard people, if it's custodial, I onboard them with Blink. Yeah, I mean, it's again, the tangent I was on was like Lightning is too non-user friendly, and Arcade is amazing. Like for that, I mean, it's again like a beta, but you can use Arcade OS and just deposit Bitcoin, and then you can pay Lightning invoices, and it just works. It's like amazing. The only downside, you have to be like come online like every month or so, which for some people is too much of a hassle, I guess. But it's amazing that this works without any soft fork, which is like a nice thing, you know.
Yeah, and I think they're working on that liveliness UX problem, both the protocols, where you can just automatically push things into the next round. What doesn't exist yet that you want to exist within Bitcoin?
I mean, so I'm facing like we work with a traditional bank here in Germany, one of the first traditional banks to adopt like a Bitcoin only education program, and there we had like a very like 3,000 people German Bitcoin conference like just in October of last year. And there I had a ton, like I had a couple of workshops, and I did my quiz show, and then like in the workshops I was like flabbergasted and taken aback how many older people attended. There was like 80 people, and they were like 50, 60, 70 years old into Bitcoin. I was like, wow. And the number one question that came up was always, how do I make sure that my kids get to my Bitcoin? And I was like, yeah, we are kind of young, you know, like we're not really thinking about inheritance planning. We're not thinking about like writing a will or something. But Bitcoin is a special asset where like, if you want to inherit it properly, like it's in self-custody, like it's not on Coinbase. On Coinbase, it's like trivial to like have your death certificate and your family gets your Bitcoin, maybe. But like with self-custody Bitcoin, there are so many foot guns. And like in the audience, there are like so many really smart people like asking these questions. I think like there needs to be much more user-friendly experience for this kind of customer, because like you can do it with a cold card, with a Bitbox. Like Liana wallet, I think, is the best go-to way to do Bitcoin inheritance, where you can just have like a multi-sig that degrades essentially if you're inactive for 15 months. And there I would wish, but this is only possible, the soft fork, that this 15-month relative time lock window would be increased to like 5 years or 10 years or something like that. So in the event that I kick the bucket, that my heir just has to wait, can have a pre-registered like hardware signing device and just have to plug it in. Like the UX there needs to improve like a little bit. And yeah, I mean, Jack Dorsey's working on something cool there. But...
Sup, freaks? This rip is brought to you by our good friends at Silent. Silent creates everyday Faraday gear that protects your hardware. We're in Bitcoin. We have a lot of hardware that we need to secure. Your wallet emits signals that can leave you vulnerable. You want to pick up Silent's gear, put your hardware in that. I have a tap signer right here. I got the Silent card holder, replaced my wallet. I was using Ridge Wallet because it's secured against RFID signal jacking. Silent, the card holder, does the same thing. It's much sleeker, fits in my pocket much easier. I also have the Faraday phone sleeve, which you can put a hardware wallet in. We're actually using it for our keys at the house too. There's been a lot of robberies. They have essential Faraday slings, Faraday backpacks. It's a Bitcoin company. They're running on a Bitcoin standard. They have a Bitcoin treasury. They accept Bitcoin via Strike. So go to slnt.com/TFTC to get 15% off anything, or simply just use the code TFTC when shopping at slnt.com. Patented technology, special operations approved. It has free shipping as well. So go check it out. What's up, freaks? Been seeing a lot of YouTube comments. Marty, your skin looks so good. You're looking fit these days. How are you doing it? Well, number one, I'm going to the gym more. Trying to get my swell on. Trying to be a good example for my young sons, a fit, healthy dad. But part of that is having a good regimen, particularly staying hydrated, making sure I have the right electrolytes and salts in my body. That is why I use salt of the earth. I drink probably 3 of these a day with 1 packet of salt of the earth. I'm liking the pink lemonade right now. It's my flavor of choice. This is their creatine. I've added this to my regimen. They have it in these packets as well. Makes it extremely convenient if you're traveling. You want to work out while you're traveling, but you don't want to be carrying a white bag of powder going through TSA. It's very, very nerve-wracking at times. You have to explain, hey, it's not what you think it is. It's creatine. I'm trying to get my swell on. Make sure you're staying hydrated. I have become addicted to these. It's made my life a lot better. I can supplement this for coffee in the morning and be energized right away. I can bring the creatine wherever I need to, just put a couple packets in here before I head to the gym, bring this to the gym, drink out of a glass bottle, make sure I'm not injecting any microplastics into my body. Go to drinksote.com, use the code TFTC, and you'll get 15% off anything in the store. That's drinksote.com, code TFTC. What soft fork would you need? Like some sort of covenant?
So yeah, covenants would be great. I mean, covenants essentially solve everything. They would make Lightning better. They would make self-custody better. Like we would have reactive instead of proactive security. Again, yeah, I'm like just fucking ship CTV now, please. Or for me, like CTV just in French, like template hash. Like I'm fine with all of these, but like the development and that, like, very slow. It's good that it's slow, I would say, but I'm afraid that too many people, Sailor being one of them, are like preaching the ossification of Bitcoin, which, in my opinion, is way too early. Like we're not there yet.
We have the 2064 bug. We need a hard fork at least once.
Yeah, I mean, eventually we need to have those. Like, again, like we wasted the entire year of 2025 talking about a fucking nothing burger, about like a data carrier size limit increase, which is like, there's so many strong economic incentives that this will not be used or abused, and like all these, whatever, I'm not gonna repeat Matt Cretter's favorite word now, but like all these things were like such a distraction. We could have spent so much more time on actually improving Bitcoin, and we know there are bugs like BIP 54 right now, like it reached also some maturity like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Matt Corallo had like the great consensus cleanup proposal, and I think Antoine also worked on this now, where like we have the not inflation, but the time warp bug, like the time warp attack that a miner can do, that has been fixed on testnet now. This needs to be like merged into Bitcoin, like in BIP 54. There's like a bunch of known bugs, known critical bugs that can be exploited now. And we should focus on actually like discussing those instead of like, oh, nuts versus core or whatever, in my opinion.
No, and you said when CTV development's slow, but CTV's been sort of in an end state for years now, and it's been tested and there's bounties.
I mean, everybody, like, I made this meme, this saw guy, welcome to my saw trap. You're a Bitcoin developer. There's a perfectly fine covenant proposal in front of you. Your challenge is it to leave the room and leave it untouched. It's perfectly fine. And like everybody comes along, oh, let's have TX hash. It doesn't do enough. Let's do checksig from stack 2 and this, and like, let's put template hash. Like there's so many, like it's the engineering disease. Like CTV is good enough. It has been around, I think, like 10 years now, 2015 or so. There's a big bounty. Nobody has come up with any way to exploit it. It is safe. It will improve Bitcoin dramatically. I don't know how you could be opposed to this kind of thing.
Well, make the sell. You mentioned reactive versus proactive sort of defense and security. How would you describe those, and why would you argue that reactive is preferable?
So right now, the way Bitcoin works, we have coins, UTXOs. So if you have a big UTXO and you spend it, you risk all of your wealth and hope that 99% comes back as a change output, which is a crazy design if you think about it. Like, it's not like Ethereum is account-based. You have like a number and it goes up and down, but Bitcoin is UTXO-based. And like every time you spend something, you risk your entire, like you dump out your entire bucket of gold and hope that the UTXO comes back. And we make sure, like hardware signers check that the change output has not been tampered with, that there's no, like, there's some kind of attack that replaces the change output. And with all the security premise that we right now have, like I make my living selling steel wallets. Like you emboss your 1224 words into steel, and that is your backup that you need. If your hardware signer fails, you go back to this and you can recover everything. But what if somebody else finds it? He has access to all of your Bitcoin. Like that is like a single point of failure. And with a covenant, you can define, this is my vault. I put my Bitcoin in here. I can define something like velocity, meaning I can only spend this much of my Bitcoin per day, even if there is a breach, like the thief cannot steal all of the funds. Or I can define, this is my vault, and from here I can only spend to this known address, where like a hot wallet with like Kraken, or like another address that is also like secure. There's an intermediate step. And if I spend to any other address, I have this big red button that I can push, and that will claw back the transaction and will send it to like another like 24 words hammered on steel, like hidden underneath a tree or somewhere. Like you have these options where you see, okay, somebody's happening and I have an undo option now, or I can limit the amount of Bitcoin that I can spend. And all of these things, if I like point them out, everybody, I want that. Like everybody tells me, this sounds great. I want that. How do we achieve this? And we jump through a lot of hoops right now with like these decaying multi-sigs with mini-script. Just having a covenant would make this much easier, much smaller, and the UX much better.
I've always been partial to James O'Byrne's framing of it. Obviously, he had Op Vault, which looked at CTV. It was like, okay, if people are afraid of check template verify because they think it's going to bring too much, let's just focus on the vaulting aspect and bring it to Bitcoin and make it so that his framing was make it so exchanges can never get hacked again. And I think if that's exactly what it does, or that's one of the products of implementing something like OpVault, is you have the potential to create these sort of transaction structures that make it very hard to get hacked, or not to get hacked, but to lose Bitcoin after getting hacked. That seems like something that is very obvious. Like we should all want that, but we have this social aspect of Bitcoin development that throws a wrench in that, which is good. It's a double-edged sword. You want that sort of rough consensus gridlock.
What is that?
That exists. What is it?
What is rough consensus?
That's a great question. I think we're still trying to figure it out. I think it depends on what you're trying to get into Bitcoin, right?
The rough consensus is if all the graybeards are agreed, and then the Plebslop podcasters are also on board. That is rough.
Well, let's dive into that. Like, how do you view it as a pleb slop podcaster that has deferred to the graybeards in the past? What else am I supposed to do?
That's the $1 million question. Like I would, so I see it as my prerogative to like educate as many people and have this like not astroturfed, like what is the grassroots, like people want this and people and institutions want this, and if there's enough incentive from a monetary perspective, people, again, you vote by having Bitcoin. Like if you are an economic player in this, you can vote and be vocal about it. And then we can achieve like another soft fork, I think. But for that, we need proper code, proper tests, benchmarks, fuzzing, and a lot of checkboxes need to be ticked. And the problem with Bitcoin is that every 4 years we have this big halving event, and a lot of new people come in. And if we talk for 4 years, more new people come in and they say Bitcoin is perfect. And then we just start from anew. So I think, to achieve another soft fork, we need to figure out a way to get everybody on board in like 1 to 2 years to signal for something. But yeah, I'm kind of bearish on that.
I am too. It is. I mean, I'm also an advocate for covenants. I know some people may find that blasphemous, but I think having been around for a while and understanding that reactive versus proactive sort of security posture that you just described, I mean, I think that's objectively preferable in my mind. And I think there's a lot of people who look at the magnitude of the changes that came with SegWit and Taproot, and they have shell shock or post-traumatic stress syndrome from the unintended consequences of those upgrades, and they assume that something similar may happen with any other future soft fork, whether it be CTV, CAT, whatever it may be, which is not to say there isn't any unintended consequences that may arise, but I think people do not appreciate how relatively small of a change something like CTV is to SegWit or Taproot.
Yeah, then again, like block size increase is like 3 lines of code and like 1 parameter. So that is never a good indicator. Oh, it's just a teeny tiny bit of code. But yeah, like the unintended consequences, I hear this a lot. And to quote my favorite shitcoiner, Jameson Lopp, like the unintended consequences are not quantifiable if you do it, and they are not quantifiable if you don't do it. Like we don't know if you don't do this upgrade, maybe Bitcoin like apathy will kill it, or like people will move on to other things, and therefore because you can't quantify both of them, like they even out. So unintended consequences always exist, and that's why we move slowly and have a lot of eyes on there, so that like they are not large mistakes being forked into Bitcoin. And that's why I'm also like not all too keen on having a quantum fork that is now with some non-hardened quantum post-quantum algorithms or whatever. Like we need to take time and we need to improve it, because there will be a lot of tech debt if introduce like a new post-quantum scheme that is way too heavy and way too difficult to verify. So yeah.
Well, I just had Jonas, Nick, and Mikhail Kuyanov on to talk about their hash-based signatures, the research paper.
It shrinks. Yeah.
And I don't think people understand or appreciate like how much you need. Like you're going to need to overhaul every wallet software that exists, like because and like
that's why like
standards like PSBT are going to have to change. It's not like you just get quantum resistant addresses. You can use everything that's existed before, and that was the most disheartening thing about the narrative and the main character syndrome sort of forcing itself into the conversation. It's just like nobody's talking about this. It's like we've been talking about it for years.
Yes, we had an entire conference. Like Steve Lee had an entire conference and invited you, and you didn't come.
Because I mean, if the rush to upgrade is, I would argue, like, riskier than being slow. Because like you mentioned earlier, like who knows when quantum is actually going to manifest, and you can really
There
fuck
are
things
so
up.
many. There's so many canaries that will drop before like ECDSA is threatened. Like again, we know with the Snowden leaks, the NSA is working on quantum computers for quite some time, and you can assume that not everything will be out in the public, not every achievement. But with all these other companies, these private companies like Google and PsiQuantum and like Microsoft and like the small IonQ, like as soon as they factor like a larger number and they need like a bridge loan from a VC, they will come back and like, look what we did. Like they will telegraph like their advances. Oh, I'm just kicking my lap here. And like we have more than a decade at least. And in that time, again, Jonas like and Tim Ruffing, they improved on the post-quantum algorithms that the National Institute of Standardization and Technology suggested and said like, here we have these, I think they call Sphinx algorithms. And then they said, hey, we take this out and we can shrink them, make them smaller. They're still way too large to have like proper throughput in a block. But you see there is steady progress. And then there's like Laura Scheichelman and like a lot of other like really smart people that are not VCs are working on it. Give them some time and do not distract them with like bullshit discussions.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that was the illuminating thing from my conversation with Jonas and Mikhail. It's just like the wallet, like particularly if you have relatively low power hardware wallets, like the amount of time it's going to take to sign those signatures is going to be significantly longer than it takes today. And if you've ever done something like a DLC, even on a mobile wallet, you know, the signature sort of rounds for that take a minute up to 2 minutes sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, like a multi-sig with like 50 cosigners or something, like you can test it. Like you realize, I mean, NVK is not cheap. It's like a security that is the design decision to not have like a fully functioning computer in there. You could add more oomph into this, of course, but like you want to have it purpose built, and now it's purpose built for that. But for post quantum, like we have to change like mining, QR codes, wallets, like nodes, like there's a ton of things, and we need upgrade hooks so like everybody's on board and like nothing breaks. It's these things where you realize, yeah, a decentralized system has a lot of advantages, but also a lot of disadvantages if you want to like move into one direction quickly. Like a bank can do key rotation, a bank can easily become post-quantum in like not a weekend maybe, but like it's possible with a decentralized exchange. With Bitcoin, there will be like, a 2-year process. Maybe.
Wallet software has been built up over some projects more than a decade, and they're literally going to have to just throw out the engine essentially and rebuild from scratch.
Yeah, I mean, Jonas and like they're working on the SCP-256K1 library, like libsecp. Yeah, that is the central part of like every like node and wallet, and that I think is an amazing work. And like a lot of people don't know this, and they don't know about like who Jonas Nick is. I think. I'm always like amazed that like these are the people that keep like a low profile, and these are the actual builders and not the people that are the loudest on Twitter.
I was very impressed with him. I think it was the first time we recorded. I'm pretty sure it's the first time we ever met too. But he's like, he can explain things very easily. He is very personable. You can tell he cares deeply about this and understands the third order effects of these changes that people are flippantly trying to rush Bitcoiners into.
Yeah, I mean, so in Germany we have a Bitcoin community, and they recently made.
How do you say like it? Because I've had people on RHR Rabbit Hole Recap. I've had people zap us and pump the German speaking Bitcoin podcast. How do you say it?
21.
21.
21 means 21. Like ein is 1 and 20 is 20. 21. And 20.
21. Okay.
21. You can just say 21. People will know. But yeah, like we have this community, and an artist made like a trading card game and made like 21 like Bitcoin personalities. And for some reason, I'm one of those, which is like undeserved. But like Jonas Nick has one, Christian Decker has one, a lot of people like Gigi has one. And I think it's like these are the actual people doing stuff. Again, not VCs, not mechanics on Twitter.
Yeah, mechanics on Twitter. What else should we cover here? What are you looking forward to in 2026? What do you think the priority should be?
So I haven't made my prediction list yet, but I really, really want. I don't have my hat in reaching distance right now. I want to see like a pardon or clemency for Kian and Bill. Like, yeah, I like again, Kian like celebrated Christmas. And then I saw, like, I mean, he must be happy to go into prison because the last 2 days before he had to be arraigned, like, he was arguing with Mechanic on Twitter. And I said, like, I mean, this can't be it. Like, the last days in freedom, like, he has to, like, argue with people on Twitter and, like, justify things. And, oh, Nazis on your side. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, I want Donald Trump to be cool and, you know, send a message that like writing code, even if it is abused by criminals, is not a crime. Like, you're not responsible if you write privacy software. You're not responsible if people abuse like technology. That's my only wish for 2026. The rest, you know, I don't know. Bitcoin can go down to 30,000 and shake on all the treasury companies. I'm fine with that, but I really want to see Trump doing another solid similar to Ross.
Do you think the onus is on the industry in the United States to preserve, from a legal perspective, I guess, preserve the ability to use Bitcoin? Like, it doesn't seem good in Europe right now.
I mean, so I have to say the laws around Bitcoin in Germany are better than in the United States, but that is, I think, purely by accident. So whereas you will always be tax liable in the event of you like selling or using Bitcoin. In Germany, if I hold it for 1 year, I'm free. There's no capital gains. I can just spend it, and that is like really, really nice. And you have rights to your privacy. So I'm fine with that. But that is born not on purpose. I think it was done on accident. Like they're talking about, you know, let's get rid of this. People are speculating and making money on that, and we need a cut. And they want to remove this 1 year holding limit and maybe even backdate it. But so I agree. It is good to have people in the White House. I mean, I wish they were more pure. I wish they wouldn't do so many crypto scams on the side. But as long as the United States allows for Bitcoin to thrive, game theory is at play. Other nations will not, you know, forbid it. And that is, again, America can be a shining light. And
No, it is this weird transitionary period, at least from my perspective, that we're in. Where again, the suits, the big guys, the nation states are coming, and it's like, what are you going to do with Bitcoin? And going back to the conversation, like soft forks covenants, specifically, if nation states do step in size in the next few years, like, will soft forks be impossible? I think.
Yeah, I mean, I have this article, and I think Shinobi has never published it. Why nation states need covenants, or rather people living in nation states that have adopted Bitcoin need covenants, because one of the key advantages of gold is that you cannot take a pallet of gold onto a helicopter when you flee the South American country. Whereas if you amass your Bitcoin of the money that you take out of your population, that is very easy to take with you if you flee to, I don't know. I mean, it has happened that some kind of dictator has rugged a population and stolen money by like transferring it in a Swiss bank account. Bitcoin makes it so much more easy, and there you could have a proper like covenant where like, okay, as long as you're in power, you get to sign. If you get voted out, your key will be rotated out. And I've written an article about like we need covenants for nation state adopting too. Like the next article needs to be like we need covenants to prevent quantum. Like we need to attach it somehow to fork in covenants, I think.
Well, I think you're touching on something that I think is very important and something that Bitcoiners really need to get better at is framing these things. I think of one thing that I'm passionate about and would love to see is pay join get implemented widely, particularly with large exchanges. And I know a lot of the exchanges outside of Bull Bitcoin shy away from it because they're like, oh, well, like the privacy thing is too much. It's like, no, you just frame it as transaction batching. We need to save shareholder capital by being more efficient when we spend Bitcoin on chain when we're sending
not
Bitcoin
only
off
that, like
exchange to our users.
Not only that,
framing is very important.
Like BIP77, like I mean the Bull Bitcoin integration is great. Who was it? There was an article with the Bitcoin Policy Institute. Gerald Glickman wrote something, and it was really like an interesting spin on that, where he's saying exchanges should be mandatory coin joining and obfuscating funds, because you have from a banking law perspective, you have to have a certain level of privacy. You are mandated as a bank to have private customer funds. And with Bitcoin currently, they like grossly reusing addresses and like they're not doing these things. And he had like a very interesting article like a couple of years ago, like 4 years ago or so. I need to find it. I'll send it to you, where he's like arguing exchanges need to coin join by law.
Yeah. It's just this aversion to private. I mean, I know why the large governments of the world don't like privacy, because they are losing control of many aspects of their ability to rule as they print more money, go into more debt, and begin to lose the narrative in the realm of the social. But I think that's the most disheartening thing, is like we have the potential, like I said earlier, especially with these second layer protocols maturing, to build like a completely new banking stack on top of the Bitcoin protocol. And it's desperately needed in this day and age. I think the banking infrastructure is completely antiquated and not suited for purpose in the digital age. And for some reason or another, I think mainly because they worry about losing control, we're being hindered from actually building out this sci-fi banking stack.
I just dropped off. I'm back. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just
you cut out a little earlier. When you're giving your whole coin join spiel, I only caught the tail end, but luckily all this is being recorded locally, so it'll look good in post.
Yeah. So coin joining. The UX is great. Another thing that would improve it is CISA, like signature aggregation, has been discussed for quite some time. If we implemented that, I think Greg Ross said it would be cheaper than a regular transaction to do coin joins with CISA or CISA.
That was funny, like going back to the quantum thing too. It's like, how much of this stuff are we going to focus on? And then it's like, oh, we have to do quantum resistant addresses. That completely, I don't know if you could do CISA with quantum resistant addresses, but if you could, that would make more sense too.
Yeah, we need a Bitcoin PR department to spin these things.
That is, yeah. Who should do that? I mean, I don't know if you're being facetious there, but I think these things do need to be articulated to the broader market in better ways.
Yeah, it's oftentimes you see very smart, bright developers.
We need autism translation services for Bitcoin.
Yeah, we need autism to ADIQ translation services. More and better communications. Also, like a learning from 2025. If communication can be improved, lots of drama can be avoided.
Yeah. There's a lot of drama in 2025. Here's to hoping that there's a bear market in drama in 2026, but I won't be holding my breath for that.
I guarantee you there will be more. I'm really, really bullish on drama and trauma. But yeah. What are your hopes for 2026?
Selfishly, I hope that that Bitcoin collateralized residential mortgages become a thing here in the United States. I think that would be massive. But
Okay.
I think no, I mean, it was a big theme in 2025. I wrote about it, talked about it a lot. But again, as you may be able to tell, I think this emergence of these interoperable second layer protocols is really powerful and fascinating to me. And I guess my hope for 2026 is instead of quabbling about different protocol changes, getting distracted by op return or quantum resistance, people begin focusing on like, okay, how can we leverage these second layers to create more extendable Bitcoin user experiences and build cooler end products at the end of the day that make Bitcoin more useful for individuals.
Are you bullish on Citria?
I could, I mean, am I going to use Citria? Probably not.
I mean, as soon as there will be a polymarket, Kalshi prediction market type on Bitcoin, and I think like with Citria, you can build something like this. I think that will be a very big inflow into Bitcoin. And there will be a lot of, prediction markets, not only funded by Rob Hamilton, but like actual prediction markets like you too. Yeah.
Well, like, what's wrong with something like Predicts, right? Do you need to do all that?
I mean, Predicts is like custodial.
Yeah.
And with like in EVM type of layer 2, which I'm always very impressed. Like Robin Linus is a close friend of mine. And I really like appreciate what they are building there, like Alphen and Citria and like all these things that I didn't think were possible to build on Bitcoin without any changes to the code. I think it's very cypherpunk. I'm not interested in any Ethereum whatever virtual machine, but yeah, prediction markets. I'm very surprised how big they have become, and these things, I think that they will come this year.
Are you surprised? Why are you surprised? It was predicted that prediction markets would become a thing. This is it's a long-awaited version.
There's this great quote by Michael Saylor, I think in 2018, where he's like denigrating Bitcoin and says like, "Oh, Bitcoin is a fad. It will have the same future as online gambling." And online gambling is bigger than ever, as is Bitcoin. Like he's right on the money. Like, he had the wrong. He took the wrong under on that bet. I'm not a like. Yeah, I played the tone-based poker tournament poorly, and I'm not really into gambling. But I see what's like. It's a very nice way of finding truth, because if people put their money where their mouth is, like, I trust those polls more than like a general Twitter poll, let's say.
Agreed. And that's what it was actually, I'm not sure if you saw it, but Brian Armstrong came out, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, and people were saying like, hey, you guys just recreated gambling. And obviously, yes, to an extent, some of these prediction markets are gambling, but he acknowledged like, hey, this is actually a way to discover truth faster, because you have insiders who are financially motivated to leak information playing on these prediction markets, and we've seen that come true. And you have a bunch of people saying, "Oh my God, this is terrible. We don't like insider trading in traditional markets." And it's like, true. Like, I don't like when politicians insider trade off of information that they glean from subcommittee meetings that are not public. But I think this is different. I think the dynamics.
Is it more that you don't want them to have it, or is it more that you would be fine if everybody could do it?
Exactly.
Because I feel like in a free market, like again, there is no such thing as like insider trading. Like, and it truly like doesn't exist anywhere in the world. But like in a truly free market, I think insider trading is just called trading.
I think you articulate it very well. My thoughts on it, it's like, as long as everybody can do it, it should be beneficial. And like you saw it with over the weekend with Maduro, there was an insider who hopped on the poly market, made a fat trade, and made a bunch of money. And that,
Yeah,
and we
I was looking in my Signal chat whether or not I was invited to the Pete Hegseth Maduro Signal group chat, but I wasn't. Could have.
what would you say if you hopped in that group chat?
I mean, I would be a fly on the wall, and then I would put a outsized bet, and then I would do the Dennis Porter style huge breaking and blow the whistle as soon as we have like internal confirmation, like that the eagle has landed or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would monetize it.
I think I agree with you. I think prediction markets are going to continue to grow, whether or not they manifest on Bitcoin. I think I would not. I mean, I think they should manifest on Bitcoin. I think ultimately they will, but I think more broadly, people still don't grasp the profundity of what's happening right now, and don't grasp how this is going to change the world. Like right now, we're seeing it in dinks and dunks, like one-off events. But once that hits scale, and the people are conditioned to go to prediction markets to make bets about certain events, with particularly insiders with knowledge of these events, it's going to really change the dynamics of how information flows and how the world actually operates.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite stories. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to share this, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Like, you remember the electric money documentary about who's Satoshi? Like HBO had this documentary like 2-3 years ago.
Peter Todd.
And everybody says, "Oh, it's Adam Back, it's Hal Finney, it's Len Zazaman," and there was a Polymarket, and there was one very outsized bet on Peter Todd, and with like documentaries that have been recorded months in advance, people that have been part of this documentary had some insider knowledge, and yeah, some people, do bet on themselves, which, I was a big fan when I learned that. Like, don't hate the player, hate the game. Why would you bet on something like? I mean, I get betting on like an election where everybody knows the outcome at a certain point in the future, but why would you bet on something that has been decided in the past? Like, movies are generally not like live streamed. Like, there's like an entire production team that knows what happened there. But
yeah, it's a brave new world. Chris, where if anybody's so curious, find out more about you, what you're working on, Seed or Bitsurance.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at CoinJoined. I post about my work. I do weird acquired taste memes. You can write me an email, chris@seedor.io or at bitsurance.io. Always happy to talk about Bitcoin. Always, up for a conversation there.
Well, keep it up. Like I said, I've been appreciating your game from across the pond here. It's very good.
Here's my star rising. It's just what I was just saying.
I don't know if you're very tall. I don't know how high it can rise from here, but yeah, thank you for doing this. This is fun.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Marty. All right.
Peace and love, freaks. Thank you for listening to this episode of TFTC. If you've made it this far, I imagine you got some value out of the episode. If so, please share it far and wide with your friends and family. We're looking to get the word out there. Also, wherever you're listening, whether that's YouTube, Apple, Spotify, make sure you like and subscribe to the show. And if you can leave a rating on the podcasting platforms, that goes a long way. Last but not least, if you want to get these episodes a day early and ad-free, make sure you download the Fountain podcasting app. You can go to fountain.fm to find that. $5 a month, get you every episode a day early, ad-free, helps the show, gives you incredible value. So please consider subscribing via Fountain as well. Thank you for your time, and until next time.